Can we make a beer that tastes just like an orange creamsicle? I'm Adam,
I'm Ann.
and we're going to find out.
Okay, let's get started. First things first, we need to marvel at our beautiful Brewer's Edge mash and boil with pump system. Next, let's turn this bad boy on and preheat our water to 155 degrees Fahrenheit. I have about 2 gallons inside the unit right now. We of course need some grains in order to make some beer. Now we just need to, alright, hold on one second. Now we can open our bag. The base beer for this recipe is a cream ale, which should give us a nice creamy taste without having to use any lactose or other additions. I will link to the recipe we base this off of and a recipe we actually use in the description, along with all the other stuff for the beer nerds. This recipe here is for a 5-gallon batch. Once our water is nice and steamy hot, we then need to go ahead and dump all those beautiful grains into our water. We start off with some rice hulls to help invigorate our flow. Then the rest of the grains join in the party. The grains are going to cool down our water a bit to about 145 degrees, which is where we want things to remain for about 20 to 30 minutes. This is called the mash. To help make sure we get every last bit of sugar, we're going to turn on our pump. This makes sure that we maintain a consistent temperature so our enzyme friends don't get mad at us. Slowly but surely, our water starts to get a nice orange color, letting us know that things are moving smoothly. We're going to do what's called a multi-step mash, since some enzymes like to party at a hotter temperature than others. To speed up the process of getting our mash water up to 158 degrees, I'm going to boil a pot of water on the side here. Dump your boiling water in with the rest of its H2O friends and set the temperature on your brewing vessel to 158 degrees. We're going to have it sit at 158 degrees for about another 20 to 30 minutes. Since we want every last bit of sugar, we're going to have to rinse our grains after our mash is complete to prevent any sugar stragglers from getting lost. On the side, heat up about 4 gallons of water to 168 degrees. This temperature helps get all of our sugars nice and loose and into our brewing kettle. Once we've reached the end of our mash, turn off your pump and lift your grains so that the water can drain into our brewing kettle. Let the steam exfoliate your pores and enjoy the smell of wet cereal. Remember, that water we heated up to 168 degrees on the side, you're gonna need to dump all of that 1 gallon at a time on top of your grain. Let everything mostly drain out and then keep adding gallons of water until you're all out. This is called the sparge. Congratulations! You now have what is called worts. Bring it up to a boil and then set a timer for 1 hour. Be mesmerized as everything comes to a boil. After about 45 minutes, we're gonna add what's called a whirlpooling tablet. This helps to make our beer nice and clear. This won't have any effect at all on the flavor, I promise. What comes up must come down. With about 5 minutes remaining, we're going to add what is called a wort chiller to our brewing vessel. This helps us cool things down as quickly as possible by pumping cool water from our sink through the copper coils to prevent any nasty bacteria from crashing the party. Turn on your wort chiller and set the temperature on the brewing vessel to 170 degrees. You'll notice I start to stir the wort to create what is called a whirlpool effect. I'm then going to add our hops and do what's called a hop whirlpool. The temperature that we're doing this and technique is used to make sure we get as much of the flavor from the hops as possible with a lot less bitterness than if you were to add it during the boil. These hops are supposed to have a strong orange taste, which is perfect for our beer. Since I have a pump, I'm going to let it do all the hard work in maintaining a whirlpool. After about 20 minutes, I'll kill the heat and then turn on the wort chiller. I'm going to cool things back down to about 100 degrees. I then transfer the wort to my sanitized brewing vessel. In this case, I'm using what's called a glass carboy because I'm going to apply some heat to it. Our little yeast friends have been hitting the gym and getting a nice warm up with what's called a starter. This is going to make sure that our yeast is in tip-top shape and can start fermenting as quickly and efficiently as possible. Using a clean and sanitized funnel, take the contents from your high school experiment and transfer it into your wort. Once everything is well acquainted with each other, put on your airlock and move it to where you will store it for the next couple weeks. Within 24 hours, you're going to start seeing some bubbling in your airlock. Try not to stare too much because the yeast is shy and self-conscious. The yeast that we're using, called Voss, Kveik, pardon my pronunciation Norwegians, likes to ferment really hot, from a range of 95 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. To keep things hot, I'm using a space heater with the temperature controller set to 97 degrees. When things get below 97 degrees, it will kick on and warm our beer up. This temperature will give us some nice citrus notes without being an absolute citrus bomb. A couple days later, you're going to remember that you bought some blood oranges that you're going to add their zest into the beer. If you're forgetful like me, take a little bit of water and bring it to a boil with the zest of 3 blood oranges. Once you let your zest boil for at least 5 minutes, take your pot off and put it into a nice ice bath to get nice and cool. Using an again cleaned and sanitized funnel, pour your orange zest tea into your beer. Make sure you get those peels into the beer as well. You're then going to realize that orange peels totally get stuck in the funnels, and you're going to do the best that you can to get as much of the peels in as possible. After a week from when we started, transfer to your keg or to your bottles. Once everything's nice and carbonated, let's give it a taste, shall we?
So, cheers, honey.
Cheers.
That's good. You can really like still taste the malt with it, and there is enough citrus in there that you know it's like orange flavored, but it's not overpowering.
It tastes a lot like orange, but not artificial orange, I would say.
We didn't use any artificial flavorings, as you've seen. This is all orange flavor that came from the hops. It all came from the orange peel and from the yeast. And I think it did a really good job of that layering of flavors, because you could taste, it doesn't taste very bitter at all, which I think was a good thing that we did the whirlpool for that instead of adding the hops in at the beginning. And it has a little bit of sweetness to it. It's not like overly sweet at all. It has a little bit of a creaminess, but overall it's just a very well-balanced beer, I think.
It smells a lot like oranges. I was hesitant when you wanted to make this. Orange Creamsicle to me is very sweet, so I thought it would be more like that, but that I could have like 6 of these.
Yes. So what would you give it out of 10?
I had really low expectations. No offense, but probably like a 9.
I would give that about a 9 as well. Now, I think as far as does this taste like you're eating an orange creamsicle, I don't think it's quite tasting like an orange creamsicle. I think it'd be more like an orangey, like citrus ale rather than an orange creamsicle, but I'm not upset about that at all. It's not disgustingly sweet.
I think it's better than if it tasted exactly like an orange creamsicle.
Well, I would definitely recommend you all try this recipe. I'll have everything linked to the side here as far as what we used, what sort of malts, the water profile, everything. So, happy brewing.
Cheers.